Alrighty, today's lesson is going to be on converting fractions, decimals, and percents. And we are going to be converting percents into fractions, fractions into decimals, decimals into fractions, percents into fractions. We're going to do all of them. So just as a quick review, let's determine which fraction is greater, 3/8 or 4/9. And by just looking at them, we might not be able to see which one is greater, so it's a good idea to convert these fractions into decimals. So that's what we're going to do. So 3/8, we are going to set it up as 3 divided by 8. And since 8 doesn't go into 3, we need to add a decimal and a 0 and bring up our decimal to the quotient. Well, 8 can't go into 3, so we can put a 0 there. 8 can go into 30, and 8 can go into 33 times. 3 times 8 is 24. We need to borrow. 10 minus 4 is 6. We need to add a 0 and bring it down. 8 can go into 60 7 times. Actually, yeah, 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. And we need to borrow. 10 minus 4 is 6. And we have a remainder, so we need to add a 0 and bring it on down. 8 can go into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. And we don't have a remainder. Now we want to find our decimal, or we need to convert 4/9 into a decimal. So 4 divided by 9. Well, 9 can't go into 4, so we need to add a decimal and a 0, and then bring our decimal on up. 9 can't go into 4, but 9 can go into 40, and 9 can go into 40 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. We need to borrow. 10 minus 6 is 4. We need to add a 0 and bring it on down. 9 can go into 40 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. We need to borrow. We need to add a 0 and bring it on down. And as you can see, this is a repeating pattern. So let's solve it one more time, just to make sure that we are continually getting 4s in our quotient. 9 can go into 40. 4 times 9 is 36. And we continually are getting 4s. So if you want, you can put a line above the 4, and that means that the 4 is going to continue on forever. So if we line up our decimals, we can tell that 4/9 is greater than 3/8, because 4/9 as a decimal is 0.4444, and 3/8 as a decimal is 0.375. So 4/9 is greater. Now I want to look and convert our mixed numbers. So a mixed number, if we convert this, all we need to do is bring down our whole number and put a decimal, and then we need to convert our fraction into a decimal. And 1/4, all we need to do is do 1 divided by 4. 4 can't go into 1, so we need to add a decimal and a 0 and bring that decimal on up to the quotient. 4 goes into 1 0 times. 4 can go into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. 10 minus 8, or we can borrow, is 2. We need to add a 0 and bring it on down. 4 can go into 25 times. So 4 and 1/4 is converted into 4 and 25/100ths. What if we have 3 and 55/100ths and we want to make it into a mixed number? Well, we know that our 3 is going to be our whole number, and so now we can put the numbers after the decimal as a fraction, and the 5 is in the 100ths place, so it's going to be 3 and 55 over 100. And we can simplify that or reduce it if we divide the numerator and the denominator both by 5. 11 over 20. So our final answer, 3 and 55/100ths in fraction form, is 3 and 11/20ths. Now I want to take a look at percents. And percent means per 100. And what we are going to look at for percent is the ratio in which the first term is compared to 100. So as a percent, if we look at 50%, that's equal to 50 over 100. So the main thing that I want you to remember is make sure that your denominator is 100, and whatever is on top, that's what the percent is going to be. So once you get your denominator to be 100, your top number is the percent. All you need to do is add a percent sign. So let's do a few quick examples. 2 over 100. Well, our denominator is 100, so all we need to do is take our numerator and add a percent sign. So 2 over 100 is equal to 2%. What if I have 7/10? Well, our denominator isn't 100, so I need to make it 100. So my denominator needs to be 100. How did I get it to be 100? I multiplied 10 times 10. And so since I multiplied 10 times 10, or 10 times my denominator, I need to multiply 10 times my numerator. And 7 times 10 is 70. Now that I have a denominator of 100, all I need to do is take my numerator 70 and add a percent sign. What if I have 3/20? Well, I need to make sure that I have 100 as my denominator. And how did I get 100? I multiplied 20 by 5. Since I multiplied my denominator by 5, I need to multiply my numerator by 5. And 3 times 5 is 15. Now that my denominator is 100, I can take my numerator and add a percent sign. What if we have a percent and we want to convert it into a fraction? Well, as we saw from above, all we did when we had a fraction is if it was over 100, we took the numerator and put a percent sign. So this 28%, all we would need to do is our 28% is the 28 is our numerator, and we place it over our magic number 100. And we have 28 over 100, and we can reduce that as well. We can divide both of these by 2. And 28 divided by 2 is 14 over 50. And that can be divided by 2 again, or reduced again. Sorry, I'm running into our next problem. 7 over 25. So 28% is the same thing as 7 over 25. Now what if we have 99%? I'm going to erase this so we can see it again. 99%. Well, my numerator is going to be 99, and I need to put it over our magic number 100. So 99% as a fraction is 99 over 100, or 99 hundredths. Now I want to look and see if I can write a percent as a decimal. So if I have 5%, we know from earlier that we put this 5 as our numerator and we put it over 100, and now we know that we can convert a fraction to a decimal. So 5 over 100, or 5 hundredths, all you have to do is say it and write it in decimal form, would look like 5 hundredths. What about 72%? Well, we can convert that into a fraction, and then once we've got it into fraction form, then we can make it into a percent. Well, 72% is equal to 72 over 100. And then we can write this as a decimal. All we need to do is say it out loud, 72 hundredths, and then write it as a decimal and make sure your 2 is in the hundredths place. Really quickly, when we look at all of these combined, 72 over 100 is equal to 72%. And what did I do to my 72 when it's written in decimal form? All that I need to do for it to equal percent is multiply it times 100, and that's going to move the decimal 2 places. So that's equal to 72%. So let's look at a few more examples like that. If we have a decimal and we want it in percent form, all we have to do is multiply it by 100. Or we just need to move our decimal over 2 places, and that's equal to 9%. What about 52? Well, all we need to do is multiply it by 100 and move the decimal place over 2 places, and that's 52%. So when you have a decimal, just move the decimal place over 2 places and add a percent sign. Now I want you guys, for homework, I want you to order from least to greatest the following fractions, decimals, and percents. And this first one, I want you to make all of them, they all have to be the same. So you either have to make all of them fractions, all of them decimals, or all of them percents before you can determine which one is least or greatest. So the first one, I want you to convert them all to percents. The second one, I want you to convert them all to fractions, and then determine which one is least to greatest. And then the last one, I want you to convert them all to decimals. and we will go over the answers in class tomorrow. Have a great night.